many of your speeches, you say all the progress we've made in the last 8 years go out the window if we don't win. Still think that?
No, I think that the risk to all the progress we've made was at stake in the election, because not just the president-elect, but a lot of members of Congress, including now the Speaker of the House and the Senate Majority Leader, have said that their principal agenda was to undo a lot of this progress. But as I've been talking about over the last several days when it comes to health care, the gains that we've made are there. 20 million people have health insurance that didn't have it before. The uninsured rate is the lowest it's ever been. The rise in health care costs since Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, was passed, have been at their lowest rate in 50 years. Those savings have extended the Medicare Trust Fund by 11 years. We've got a baseline of facts. Here's where we were. Here's where we are now. So it is true, theoretically, that all that progress can be undone, and suddenly 20 million people or more don't have health insurance. But as I think Republicans now are recognizing, that may not be what the American people, including even Trump voters, are looking for. And my hope is that the president-elect, members of Congress from both parties, look at where have we objectively made progress, where things are working better. Don't undo things just because I did them. I don't have pride of authorship. I said today in a forum on health care, if the Republicans can come up with a system that insures more people, cheaper, better, I will be the first one.
And I can tell by your smile, you don't think they can do it.
Well, I'm skeptical that they can do it, mainly because for 7 years now, including when we first tried to pass health care, I said to them, okay, if this doesn't work, tell me what does. In this room, I remember having meetings with Republican senators who initially had been trying to engage, but saw that the politics of no were growing inside the Republican Party. And I remember having a conversation in the Oval Office with one of those senators who was starting to get a little sheepish about what compromises might garner his support. And finally I asked him, is there any changes I could make that would get you to support this? And he said, probably not, Mr. President, which was a nice change in terms of just candor. But what that means then is that now the burden is to take a look. Don't just oppose things because this was Obama's agenda.
Sounds like that's what's happening right now.
Well, that's what's happening at the moment. People are anxious about their future and their children's futures. But they don't want folks to be reckless. And they don't want this town to just be tit for tat. And, one of the gratifying things, I think, about the end of my presidency, even though, admittedly, my successor ran against a lot of what we stood for, is when you look at the individual issues and the progress that we've made on a lot of those issues, we got the support of a pretty decent majority. Even on health care, what you've seen is a lot of stories surfacing lately about people who said, well, I voted for Trump, but I don't think he's really going to take away my health care.
So is Obamacare going to survive?
I think it will. Or it may be called something else. And as I said, I don't mind. If, in fact, the Republicans make some modifications, some of which I may have been seeking previously, but they wouldn't cooperate because they didn't want to make the system work, and relabel it as Trumpcare, I'm fine with that. Because what I'm thinking about are the millions of people, many of whom write me very personal letters. Dear Mr. President, I did not vote for you. I was against Obamacare. And then my son, who didn't have health insurance, signed up, and we just found out that he had an illness, and thankfully he's now covered. Otherwise, he might not have gotten treatment, or I might have lost my house. You have people around the country who are benefiting from the steps that we've taken, and as long as they continue to get helped, then at least I'll know in my own mind that the work we did here had a lasting impact.